Coming up next, fans, it's Feedback Friday from here at Casablanca on Brady, where we answer your questions and comments from last week's broadcast, and we got some doozies coming up in just a moment right here on the Pro Wrestling Report Feedback Friday. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Feedback Friday for Friday, February 10th, 2017. I almost said 2013. What was I just about to do with the last 4 years?
And you make fun of me in the 80s. You've lost 4 years.
Not a whole decade.
If you round up, it's almost 10.
Did you watch Growing Pains?
Who was in it?
Leonardo DiCaprio towards the end?
I didn't see him. Who was? What else?
Different Strokes. That was more 70s.
I saw Different Strokes.
Of course you did. Blaxploitation.
It was not. You think so?
Maybe.
It was giving...
You were in love with Tootie, though, weren't you?
No.
You really didn't like Tootie?
No. Who was the Fresh Prince's older cousin? Hillary. She was really cute.
Clinton?
No. Hillary Banks.
It's Feedback Friday, folks. What we do is we talk about your comments and questions.
What's so funny about that?
From the things that you retain versus the things that most normal human beings retain are just so fascinating to me at times because there's just one common theme. One.
And what would that be?
Not going to say it on air. So let's get to our first comment, which comes to us from a Jamie Joshua on YouTube, who says, and I quote David Hero, and this is based on your comparison last year where you said on one of these very programs that John Cena was better than Ric Flair.
Okay.
Overall.
Yeah.
Comparing John Cena to Ric Flair at this point is like comparing LeBron James to Michael Jordan.
Why?
NFL, right?
No, it's NBA. Why?
Two completely different eras, as Damian Nelson pointed out.
Yeah.
Flair would wrestle 60 minutes almost every night, but Cena, as we know, didn't, and it was a different time with Flair. So statistics only matter so much. Nobody will ever think LeBron James is better now than Jordan, just as nobody in their right mind could ever say Cena is better than Ric Flair. A little bit of a different opinion there from Jamie.
Well, that's fine, but he's wrong. I look at how much money they make.
Are you sure you don't write the president's tweets?
No.
Because you're very reactionary in some of the things that you say.
Oh, there's that word again, reactionary.
Know your role and answer the question.
No, you gotta go by how much money they made. John Cena has made gazillions of dollars.
Okay, people have compared, let's say Titanic, the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yes.
Adjusted for inflation, there are movies who have done almost as good for it. So you could do the same thing. Take the money that was made in wrestling during the 70s and 80s and adjust it for inflation to now, and I think you'll be in the same neighborhood.
I don't think so.
I think you will.
I don't think that
I'll get Harvey Weinstein, though.
Ric Flair has ever made $5 million on a pay-per-view.
Because he couldn't.
I don't think Ric Flair ever did $15 million a year in merchandise sales.
Because he couldn't.
Okay, so who's been more successful?
It's not because he couldn't, it's because he couldn't because it didn't exist.
Well,
those revenue streams didn't
matter.
Exist in that
Of course
fashion
they did.
yet.
They had Ric Flair t-shirts. I saw them.
A Ric Flair t-shirt.
Okay. He's a heel. I don't know. You know what? LeBron James, Michael Jordan, two amazing guys. I think LeBron James has transcended wrestling the same way John Cena has. John Cena is more of a household name than Ric Flair ever was.
Again, and I think as Jamie's pointing out, Ric Flair wasn't on national television for the primary portion of his career. John Cena was for all of his career.
Ric Flair
national television. No, he was not.
He was on TBS.
He was not. He was not on national television during the prime of his career in the early 80s and late 70s.
Yes,
he absolutely was not.
He was on TBS.
No. Once a Saturday, perhaps. Sure. Once a week, perhaps.
Or once a Monday for Cena.
No. When Cena's era first began, he was the brand split had happened, but he was crossing shows. He was on every pay-per-view. It is entirely. Can you not admit, POTUS, that it's two entirely different eras? It's like comparing the presidential era of John F. Kennedy to that of Donald Trump.
It's my opinion.
No, it's your opinion, but it's not based on fact, sir. What I'm asking you is can you not admit that the era of Ric Flair, where there weren't wrestling pay-per-views, where there weren't weekly episodic television programs that millions of people watched, were different? Can you say that those two eras were not different?
Well, yeah, they're different, but let's be honest, Ric Flair worked 350 days a year.
I'm not saying it changes your analysis that Cena was better than Flair. I disagree with it, but it doesn't change it. But you're failing to admit
he's a better wrestler. I say he's a better star.
But you're failing to admit that the metrics are incredibly different between the two. The metrics, by which you measure them.
I don't
and their
do
successes.
metrics. I don't like kilometers and meters, and I don't get those. I keep it to inches and feet.
Thank you, Jamie Joshua, for that comment. Let's go to our next comment, which comes to us from a YouTube user by the name of Dream Time. That's time with a Y, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you keeping score at home. This is reference our conversation yesterday on Feedback Friday, on Prime Time, where we talked about Seth Rollins. The question is, if Rollins is out for a while, will Samoa Joe be able to keep up his momentum on the main roster?
Absolutely,
great question.
because he's going to keep killing people. You don't have him come out and destroy Seth Rollins to then have him go down and work a program with Enzo and Cass.
I mean, Big Cass is part of that era of the big guys you were talking about just yesterday on Prime Time.
Right, but what I'm saying is that you got to keep him elevated the entire time, because so when Rollins comes back, it means more.
Yeah.
He just beat up Roman Reigns.
Did Samoa Joe? Yes, with the help of Braun Strowman.
Of course,
yes.
yeah. Mm-hmm. It'll be fine.
Thank you, Dreamtime, for that comment. Our next comment comes to us from a YouTube user by the name of Kevin Poole. Kevin Poole, who has a follow-up to the conversation we had last week where you challenged the audience, David Hero, and we both did actually, saying that the writing is not necessarily, and the creative team is not necessarily always to blame for what you consider a bad edition of Raw or SmackDown. And I quote from Kevin Poole, "Telling someone you write it if you think it's so bad isn't a good excuse. We aren't professional writers, they are. Just because someone can't create something better doesn't mean they don't know what's bad. I can't cook a good steak, but I know what a bad one tastes like. And if the amount of content they're producing prevents them from having compelling TV, then cut the amount of content down." Well written, I think, by Kevin Poole.
You'd almost think he was a creative writer with that one.
He did write this creatively.
Yeah. First of all, then don't bitch. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying specifically, Kevin, that you bitch, but
if you can't do better, if you won't even try to do better, first of all, you don't go to school to get a creative writing degree. There's no masters in creative writing for pro wrestling.
For pro wrestling, thank you.
Okay? Creative writing is being creative.
But here, a lot of people don't understand how the process works. Is, you know, it's put under this umbrella of creators, and then it's about how they have writers and all other stuff. But the wrestling, the bookers, if you will, still come up with the wrestling. And what do? They turn that wrestling over to the writers because they don't have the capability in most cases to write the show.
The way it works is that you have a creative team of, let's say, 15, 20 people, and they all pitch different ideas. Mm-hmm. And then it's up to Hunter, Stephanie, and Vince to say, okay, let's see how this is going to work. Mm-hmm. But the problem they have today...
But they still turn that over to the writers to make a TV show out of it.
But the problem they have today is that a lot of these writers have no wrestling knowledge. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Which is preferred at times by WWE.
Yeah, but they need to understand how to put together a match and why certain things have to happen. Mm-hmm. They have to understand the heat. And some of these guys don't. They have great ideas, they just don't mesh well. But for me, if you're going to complain, at least try to do better than, don't just sit there and complain, unless you can come up with a solution.
So Monday morning quarterbacks who complain about their team, their football team, their team of millionaires doing bad,
me crazy.
They should just go out on the field and try to do it next week?
No, you didn't win. No, you didn't lose. Not at all. Stop it. The team lost.
Just because you're bitter about Atlanta losing the Super Bowl.
That cost me a lot of money.
Thank you, Kevin Poole, for that well-written comment. And we are going to take...
It was very creatively written.
We're going to take a time out, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, more of your comments that he's looking forward to right here on Feedback Friday.
The biggest party event of WrestleMania weekend is back. WWE Hall of Famer Kevin Nash presents Shenanigans Orlando. Join Nash and his friends for a huge VIP party Saturday, April 1st. Party with the biggest stars of wrestling at the pub at Point Orlando on International Drive to kick off WrestleMania weekend. Don't miss Shenanigans Orlando, hosted by Kevin Nash. Tickets are available now and going fast at PWRshow.com. That's PWRshow.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report. # Feedback Friday. At Damian Nelson sitting alongside at David Hero. Is it not a valid question?
Yeah, but not now. Where are we at?
I wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors.
Yeah, me too.
Unless he's already endeavored.
Nobody better be indefinite.
Folks, let's continue on with your comments, ladies and gentlemen. And this next one comes to us from a YouTube user by the name of Ryan Davis, a name I think we've used quite a bit here on this program. And it's almost like he sent this in during the break, but not really. It's a follow-up to our conversation of just earlier in this episode as it pertains to the writers. Ryan says this, and I quote, "Great analogy on blaming writers. People seem to think that every hour of every show every year should be made specifically for them.
Yes.
I love so many things that are deemed nerdy, and I'm not ashamed of it, but I will admit that my fellow superhero, video game, horror, and wrestling nerds have become so damn entitled and negative, something about this generation that insists on crying about first world, well, I was going to say problems, but they're simply just fictional stories." Not sure a response is required.
There is not. Ryan obviously gets it.
Is that your alias?
No.
You stopped using that other one?
Clark Kent? It got me in way too much trouble.
Jack Sikowski?
No, that was Ron Sikowski. It's just too hard to spell.
Our next comment comes to us from Brandon Heinrich, who says this, reference David's comments last week about Bailey.
You know what his finisher is, don't you?
What is his finisher?
The Heinrich maneuver.
Hero is 100% right about Bailey.
Yep.
Not believable, the character is awful, and she messed up too many moves in her big matches.
I don't mind people messing up the moves, but you have to be believable. And a belly-to-belly or a bailey-to-belly, whatever they want to call it, isn't a solid finisher. It doesn't work.
Thank you for that comment, Brandon Heinrich. Final comment comes to us from a user by the name of BJ Mike Jr. BG Mike Jr. That would be a whole different name if it was the way I first said it. And the comment question is, do you think that WWE will turn Roman Reigns heel before he faces The Undertaker at WrestleMania? Very valid question.
Can I ask you a question?
You just did. You could ask me another one.
When Roman Reigns comes out to the ring, is he cheered or booed?
Both.
But what's more prevalent?
Because you want to hear them, the boos.
He's already kind of a heel. If they turn him heel, are they going to be angrier boos?
This is eerily reminiscent of a lot of the John Cena conversations.
It's just like, no, they're not going to turn him heel. They may give him more of an edge. They make him more pissy or something like that. But let's face it, they're going to boo him anyhow against Undertaker. They are. They could bring out Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov to wrestle Roman Reigns, and they would still boo Roman Reigns.
I don't think Sheik and Volkov would be able to hang.
They could bring Saddam Hussein back from the dead, put him in the middle of the ring at WrestleMania, and the fans would still boo Roman Reigns.
Hussein bin Laden, tag team superstars?
Yeah, absolutely.
They'd do it if they could, wouldn't they?
Of course they would.
Even with the characters, they would do it if they could.
They tried it with Hassan and Davari. It was close enough.
At the same time, by the way. Thank you for that comment, Mike from YouTube. Thank you to all of you for your comments. Some great discussions, some really good comments this week.
Why do you get nervous when I say certain...
Because you have no filter, and quite frankly, there is no stopping point between the sink that is your brain and the faucet that is your mouth.
The faucet for a mouth?
Yes, and it's not a Kohler.
Bubbler?
It's a drinking fountain.
Gotcha.
Want to remind you to subscribe to us right here on the YouTubes by clicking on that button right there. I want to thank you all, the hundreds of you that downloaded the Fight TV app over the course of the last 24 hours and enjoyed all that free programming, including Ring of Honor, TNA pay-per-views, and many other pay-per-view events. And welcome to the Fight FITE TV family. And Fight's going to be our partner at WrestleMania, as I'm going to be joined by SoCal Val covering WrestleMania live over 3 days. Friday, yes, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Night, Friday.
See,
I should be doing this, not
Maybe
you.
I should exclude you more often because now you actually remember stuff. It's weird. You can't even show up here on time. Anyways, folks, for that one, this is Damian Nelson saying thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next... Actually, no. Programming returns in 2 weeks for the Pro Wrestling Report.
What?
I'm going to be in Orlando handling some business next week, getting ready for you to have a smooth sail.
Are you going to be on the OBT?
I am going to be... a part of my travels will likely take me down Orange Blossom Trail, yes. I shall not be ordering anything that is not food on Orange Blossom Trail.
Oh, they have great Cuban on OBT.
I heard they have good fish tacos as well. And a breakfast buffet?
I would stay away from those.
We'll
Unless
see
you have lots of
in
salsa
2
on
weeks,
it.
ladies and gentlemen, here back on Feedback Friday.